So here I have this beautiful mechanical pencil in copper from the company Tactile Turn. Now Will Hodges from Tactile Turn, who is the owner and brainchild of Tactile Turn, worked with me in the past on a prior video. Now I left it with Will that I had a good overall experience reviewing his products, and that the next time he saw these, they would have a beautiful patina on them. So today I'm taking a look at this pencil. I'm going to get to work with a little bit of an experiment. I've done some research looking into how to patina copper. And again, this is an experiment. I've never exactly done this. This is my first time really trying this. I hope I don't totally trash this, but you know what? There's only one way to figure it out, and that's just to go for it. So here what I have this completely taped off and ready to go. I have myself here some salt, some ammonia, and some vinegar that I'm basically going to put in a sealed container. Now, because of the mechanisms on the pencil and the other aspects about it, I'm going to be kind of careful. The idea being that you need to coat this first in vinegar. So I'm going to use a paintbrush. I'm going to paint it on in somewhat of a controlled fashion. I'm going to pour some salt all over this, and then I'm going to leave a little shot glass of ammonia inside this container. We're going to seal it up, we're going to leave it for a while, and we're going to see what happens to this pencil. So, who really knows? But if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what's about to happen, do me a favor. Stay tuned. So kind of doing this down in the basement where I can't cause too many problems. Just going to open up this ammonia here, pour some in the shot glass here, and set the shot glass down inside the container. Now I'm using a container of this shape so I can basically leave the pencil in the vertical position. I'm hoping maybe I'll get some vertical stripes if I do it that way. Who really knows? Like I said, this entire thing is simply an experiment. But as I mentioned, I'm basically just going to commit to this. So taking the vinegar and painting it on here. Now this is basically a fairly new pencil, so it doesn't have too much tarnish already. I'm hoping that I can kind of avoid the mechanism here a little bit. Just kind of paint this on, get it in specific locations. And then what I'm going to have to do is come back maybe periodically and kind of paint a little bit more on. Like I said, I don't really know. I'm just going to kind of go with this and see what happens. But trying to go fairly good in coverage. See if I can get that pretty well covered. And then the salt I'm using is very coarse, so it should have good overall coverage here. Just kind of salting it on there. This is completely ridiculous. Can't even believe I'm going to do this to my nice writing utensils, but hey, let's just go for it. And then just paint a little bit more of this on here, get it good and saturated, and then I'm just going to leave this vertically inside here. Now for the bottom piece, the exact same. Painting this on carefully. I covered up the threads, so hopefully they don't get tarnished too badly, so I can thread this all back together. Salting this thing again. There we go. A little more vinegar here. And leaving this vertically inside. Now I'm just going to put the cover on here. Careful not to spill the ammonia. And we'll come back and we'll check this in a little bit and see what happens. So you see it in there? Just kind of resting against the edge. That's fine. I think I'm going to take the tip and flip it over. Maybe get a little less of the copper resting against the side of the container there. And it's literally been less than a minute, and you can see it's already starting to turn. So that's a good sign. We're going to leave this alone for a while, come back in a bit, and we'll definitely check on it. So now we're about an hour in, and as we look down inside, you can see we're definitely starting to develop some nice color. But to me, the coverage isn't exactly what I'm going for. So I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to take my paintbrush, paint on some more vinegar, add another layer of salt, and then put the cover back on, and we'll just keep at it. You can definitely smell this. Smells like patina. Just going to be careful here actually. Let me reposition. So again, just painting on the vinegar here on all these spots. Actually, you'll see right away that really brightens up that blue, makes it pop. It's pretty cool. And just covering this very well here, getting into sort of the cracks that I missed the first time around. And there we go. So this piece looking fairly well covered. Getting good coverage with the salt this time. Get it all over there. Yikes. Just heavily covered. And just painting on the vinegar again. You can see just as I'm doing this, it's just adding some color. Just being careful here. I'm starting to realize there's no real science to this. You just kind of make it up as you go, but oh, actually it is science. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of a little bit of chemistry going on here. And drop this back inside. I'm going to wash my hands really well after this so I don't have a chemistry experiment going on in my skin. Very patient, just taking my time. And now I'm going to set this back inside here. So there we go. And popping that cover back on. This time I'll probably leave it for a while. Come back a couple hours and see what happens. You can see the blue now kind of dripping on things. So I'm doing it in the basement where it doesn't matter. So I'm a couple hours in and I don't really want to open this up at this point. I'm going to let this go overnight, but you can see here that is just turning 100% blue now, which is awesome. So just the only spot down here with no patina, which is kind of why I didn't want too much of it to touch, seems to be that very bottom spot, but that's okay. I mean, that's fine. It's what it is. And then the actual tip here, same sort of thing. Now I suspect once I clean these up, I'll clean them up tomorrow, there's probably going to be some additional spots on here that actually don't have patina. But the good thing is, as I look through here, I see the stainless clip and the little bolt there don't have any patina at all, so that's great. And so this seems to be working well. I'm curious to see how this turns out. I hope I didn't make a grave mistake, but certainly tomorrow we will find out. So here it is the next morning. It's been maybe about 11, 12 hours now, a little bit less than that. But opening this up, we'll get a look at this. And to me, at this point, this is done. So, wow. Pulling that out. Bright, vibrant blue. It's pretty awesome, actually. That's amazing. Setting that down. I'm going to pull this out, get it out of the way. Everything just really smells like ammonia. And then the tip here, again, bright, vibrant blue. So I'm going to get some water. I'm going to clean these up carefully, and then we'll take a look at these in detail, see what they really look like. So I brought this outside so you can see the detail at this point, and this came out amazing. Now it is kind of, I would call it a matte finish. I do have an idea that I think is going to work. What I'm hoping is over time that just with use, you'll end up with a little more of the exposed copper. I think that'll work. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's really an experiment all the way around at this point, but the finish is incredible. So the one thing that I did do that you didn't see, I did it off camera. I basically coated this a third time with the vinegar and the salt. So this finish is basically after 3 coatings and then keeping it in there overnight, and that looks absolutely great. Then a couple other things worth noting is the stainless steel parts have no patina whatsoever. They're still perfect. And then my theory about protecting the threads, so you'll notice that I had the tape, that definitely worked. So using the tape to block off the threads and also the inside basically preserve the quality on the inside, which is really good. So now that this has a dull finish, I want to add just a little bit of luster. And I'm kind of curious. I have this nice Carnuba Wax, which ends up leaving kind of a almost like a film to protect and encapsulate paint on cars. So if it works for cars, I'm saying, why wouldn't it work here? So I used my hot air gun just to kind of set the patina here and dry off any spare moisture. And I'm just using this wax here, kind of working it on nicely. I'm going to go easy because I don't really want to rub off the patina. I'd rather have that happen just through use. But it feels like it's set fairly well. And I'm just going to rub this on here. Let it sit for a minute or so, and then I'll rub it off real careful with a nice easy microfiber. Alright, so here you have this after final assembly. Very well done overall. Now the only thing I may have done differently is where the seam is. You can see it now. That was one of the things I greatly enjoyed about the factory machining, is so tight, that tolerance. But now you do kind of see it. Now I think what I would have done is maybe patinaed the entire pencil all as one assembly so the patina would be even across that seam. But other than that, this came out amazing. Nice little luster on it right now. I used the wax, and actually I just added a real light coating of oil, basically like an olive oil, and that really made it pop. So that olive oil will probably come off over time, and then obviously this patina will kind of start to rub in different ways. So I'll be curious to see how this weathers at this point in solid use. Now what I can tell you is the mechanism does still work perfectly fine. I can tell that it's got just a little bit of work that needs to be done just to kind of loosen it back up again. Probably has a little bit of tarnish in there, but not a big deal. The eraser went in fine. The internal mechanism worked perfectly, so I don't have any issues to contend with in terms of the overall functionality. At this point, it's got style, it has a unique look. I think it's very nice, and it was definitely an experiment. So Will Hodges, I'm not sure if you like this or if I'm making you cringe as we speak, but this is currently the state of my copper pencil. I like it. I think it's definitely unique, and I'll be interested to see how this weathers over time. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.